Hello and welcome. My name is Denise Boyle, Premier Trainer at the HAC Athletic Club. Today we're going to do a series of floor exercises, working the lower extremity. Then we're going to go into a series of abdominal and core exercises. So grab a mat or a towel and let's get started. The first exercise we're going to do in the series of lower extremity is a sideline leg lift. You can use your body weight, or if you choose to use some resistance, we can use bands. The blue band is a little bit stronger, a little bit more resistance. The red is a medium resistance, and the green is the lightest resistance. You may also want to choose to use an ankle weight, and that is fine as well. Today we're going to use the red one. You're going to put that at your ankles. You're going to lie on your side. You want to make sure that your hips are stacked, so you're not rolled back and you're not too forward. So you want to make sure they're stacked. You want to make sure your elbow's underneath your shoulder. And then when you lift up, you want to have a little bit of tension. Once you've got that tension, that's going to be your starting position. From there, you're going to lift up, straight up towards the ceiling. All the while keeping your core engaged, which is what we do with all exercises. And then do your lift. And you switch to the other side. Same thing, make sure your hips are stacked, your elbows underneath your shoulder, your core is engaged. You've got that resistance. This is your starting position with that tension. And then you're just going to lift from there. Again, you can use ankle weights. You can use your body weight. You don't need any resistance at all. The next exercise we're going to do is a quadruped with straight leg kickback and abduction. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your band right at your ankle again. A quadruped is when you're on all fours. So you want to have your wrists underneath your shoulder, your knees underneath your hip, engaging your core. You're going to do a kickback, straight leg, abduct out to the side, and then bring it back in again. Kick back, abduction out to the side, bring it back in. Kick back, abduct out to the side, bring it back in. Try not to roll back. Try to keep your hips square. Knee tuck, kick back, abduction out to the side. And you'll do the same thing on the other side as well. The next exercise we're going to do is a prune straight leg lift. We're going to put the band at your ankles again. This time you're going to lie on your stomach. And we're working your glutes. So you want to keep your legs nice and straight without bending. You put your forehead into your hands, gauge your core, and lift your legs straight up towards the ceiling. Trying to keep that leg straight the whole time. And lift. And then you'll switch to the other side. Same thing. Bring that heel up towards the ceiling. And lift. Really keeping that leg straight, working those glutes. The next exercise is a seated straight leg lift. So again, we'll put the band at our ankles. Sit up nice and tall. Palms facing down, fingers facing forward. Gauge the core. Legs are nice and straight again. Bring those toes toward the shins. And then just straight leg lift. So now we're getting your quadriceps, the front of your leg. And lift, lift, lift. And then switch legs to the other side. Again, with all these exercises, you're doing anywhere between 15 and 20 reps. Now we're doing an exercise called the Clam. You'll take the band again, but instead of having it at your ankles, you're going to have it above your knees. Flatten the band out. You're going to lie on your side. Hips again are stacked. Elbows underneath your shoulder. Engage your core. You're going to bring your knees up so that you have a nice 90 degree from your knee to your hip and then from your ankle to your knee. Engage your core. Keep your feet together and use the tension of the band and lift. It's really good for the gluteus medius, abductor muscles, and lift. Keep that core engaged. Make sure you don't roll back. Make sure your hips are still stacked. get the most out of the exercise. You'll switch, do the other side, same thing. Make sure you're set up, nice 90-degree, and then lift. Make sure that elbow's underneath your shoulder. Keep that core engaged, try not to roll back, and keep that lift. Try not to have the other knee touch, always keep that tension the whole time. The next exercise we're going to do in the series of lower extremity is a combination bridge and single leg bridge. So we're going to put the band above your knee this time. Make sure it's nice and flat. You lie back on your back. Engage your core again. Make sure your feet are a bit wider than hip distance. Lift your hips up so that your shoulder and hip and knee are all lined up. You also want to squeeze your glutes. And then once you're in that position, you're ready to start. Your head, neck, and shoulders are resting. And you're just going to abduct your legs out, which is push out, all the while keeping the bridge. Try not to drop down when you're abducting out. Try to keep that straight line. Keep the glutes working, core's engaged, and you're working your muscles and your abductor muscles here, and the gluteus medius as well. And then press out. While you're in that bridge, you're going to transition to single leg. Drop your hips, you're just about to touch the mat, and reach back up towards the ceiling. Think about bringing that heel all the way up and lift. So make sure you're not touching. And then transition to the other leg, straight leg, drop down and lift, and lift. Now we're going to go into a series of abdominal and core exercises. So we're going to start with a side plank. Remember, there's modifications to every exercise. So we're going to start with a regression of the side plank. Knees are bent, elbows right underneath your shoulder, and you're going to have your nice 90-degree from your ankle to your knee to your hip. And what you're going to do is you're just going to lift up. You can reach up. You can do pulse in this position, or you can do a rotation where you're reaching under, lifting up, rotate under, and lift up. Those who want a little bit more progression, you can do a side plank where your hips are up the whole time and legs are straight. Start in this position. You can do your pulse, or you can do your rotation and reach up, rotation, reach up, rotation, reach up. And you do the same thing for the other side. The next exercise is an oblique crunch. So you're going to start out by lying on your back. One leg is bent, one leg is straight and touching the floor. You're going to bring your right arm up over your head. Your left leg is nice and long and it's touching the ground. When you lift, think about bringing your rib cage to your hip. And your head's going to come second. So when you lift, we're going to go on a diagonal so we can get your obliques. Let's begin. So when you lift, you're lifting through here, head comes second, and reach. Do a little bit of a diagonal. We're going to do 15 to 20 reps on each side. Switch, right leg is straight, left arm is up over your head, and you're going to lift. This next exercise for abdominals is called a seated rotation. You can use any type of resistance that you have. A canned good, you can have a medicine ball, weighted ball, dumbbell weight, or kettlebell. So we're going to use the medicine ball today, and we're going to keep the heels touching the floor and toes pointed up. Slightly lean back, just enough to engage your stomach muscles. Make sure your back doesn't kick in. If it does, you'll come back up to sit up straight position. Slightly lean back. We're going to touch the ball or the canned good or the weighted object to the floor. Doing your rotation. If you wanted to add more resistance as a progression, you can lift your heels up and still do your touchdown. Keeping those stomach muscles engaged. Make sure your back doesn't kick in. If your back starts to kick in, bring those heels down and continue your rotation. The last exercise in this series is called a sit-up and pass. You can either use a weighted ball, dumbbell weight, canned good, whatever it is you have is fine. You start out by lying on your back. You're going to have the dumbbell weight or weighted object in your left hand. You're going to sit up, pass it under your right leg. Now it's in your right hand. Sit up, pass it under your left. All the way back down again. And lift and reach. Use those stomach muscles. Make sure your back is not engaged. And lift. This concludes the series of floor exercises for the lower extremity, including abdominal and core. I hope you enjoyed it.